Hey guys, so Man Caring Thing just released a video, and for anyone who doesn't know him, what are you doing? Do you live under a rock? He is a phenomenal creator, and he typically makes a bunch of short form content, but periodically he will step into a completely new territory and make phenomenal kind of like long form video essays, even though I kind of like hate that term. And he had just released one, I think literally maybe like today, depending on when I get this video out, about AI and writing. And I felt nearly obligated to give my 2 cents on it because, as with most things, Man Caring Thing is right about everything. I watched this on the way to actually get some groceries from Costco this morning. It's an incredible video. And again, I'll try to put a link in the description below so you guys can check it out. But it had to do with the idea of AI replacing artists. And there was a lot of things that he said, but two in particular that I think stuck out to me. And it's how non-writers think about writing, especially in relation to AI art and the future of art in AI. But there was an article that he had referenced where someone had basically said this type of article could be published in a magazine and fit like right alongside other articles, and the article that guy was referencing was written by AI. And Man Caring Thing noted that if you actually read the article in any way, it is terrible. It's not a good article.
Technically alert, linguistically omnivorous, and philosophically caustic. Throughout the review, it's just listing a lot of things with adjectives that sound smart. It just sounds extremely pretentious, like no one would print this because it sounds like a student trying to sound smart. Like, what does linguistically omnivorous mean? You eat a lot of books?
And a huge, I think, problem with AI, at least that I see, or people's interpretations of AI, is that AI is allowing, it's called like democratizing, allowing a bunch of people to have interaction with things that they literally know nothing about, right? So AI, you can make animations, you can make whole like videos, you can do AI voiceovers, AI advertisement campaigns. And I think because people now have the ability to make these type of like more artistic expressions, and what could only have been achieved by a person in previous times, they now think that real people's skills are kind of like synonymous to the things that they're doing with AI. But the problem is, because they've never actually had to develop any of the skills on their own, they don't know any of the the nuances that go into creating these types of art, right?
They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
It's very much similar, I think, to how, and I if you guys don't know, I studied psychology for a very long time. It's very similar to how if you do something in your life at a low level and it's easy to you then think doing something at a high level is going to be similarly easy, right? Great example is boxing and like NASCAR driving. These two areas are things that people in everyday life think they can kind of like jump into, right? People's like, oh, I throw punches, I know how to like fight, I drive a car, so how hard could like punching another guy in a stadium be, or driving in an oval in a stadium be? Because I do things that are similar to those, right? Like, how difficult could giving like, you know, a public speech be, or how difficult could being a comedian be? I tell jokes, I speak in front of people, and believe you me, anybody who thinks this way about any form of expression, artistic or otherwise or skillful, I implore you, go do that thing you think is easy, because you're going to find out very quickly why like 0.0001% of people get paid millions of dollars to do that thing. It's because it's incredibly freaking difficult. It's not easy. And writing is the same way. There are people out there who have no idea how to write, who have no clear, like not even in the same universe of skill and talent. They don't know assonance, they don't know like alliteration, they don't know like how to use like iambic pentameter, they don't know what type of like active versus passive voice to use. They have no idea about like how to properly integrate a deuteragonist into a long-term like 4-act story, or how to like capitalize on like denouement, right? Like, and again, I could go on, but people, I think, create these facsimiles of what is supposed to be fictional writing, and they think it's good because they don't even know what good writing is. And someone like kind of dogged out this person who had talked about this, you know, magazine article as this is a perfect example of a bad writer's idea of good writing. And this is exactly, I think, what we're in like an epidemic of. It is I think the masses, and most people I think are a part of the masses, except for those people I think who have skill in a certain area into which they're in a niche. But like, and I'm a part of the masses for a lot of stuff. I don't know how to make a ton of things, but people are in an area, in a skill in which they just have no idea all like the effort and time that goes into making things. And therefore when AI is seemingly able to replicate those things, we kind of just accept it. And I think that's the danger of it, right? It's not even so much AI itself, it's people starting to equate real human-made things with being the same quality as AI. There's a channel called, oh gosh, I think it's called Skybin. And he does a lot of like League of Legends, like art breakdowns. And there's one video he has talking about how people are accusing Riot, the game company, of using AI for their character splash arts. And how this is incredibly dangerous because if you did like the tiniest bit of research, you would be able to find that the artists that are being accused of like basically being AI are very real people with like consistent artistic expressions and a long history of making splash art. And the danger of regular people associating AI level material with real world level material is that we start to doubt what even is real or not. People accuse an artist of being AI and it kind of like devalues real art at like a fundamental level.
She's the one who made this. She and a whole bunch of other artists like her who paint in these kinds of styles, they were the people whose work was stolen to make the AI bot. It's stealing from her. It's trying to copy her. It's trying to steal her work. That's why it looks vaguely sort of kind of similar. She's the one being stolen from.
And it's because non-artists were commenting on high quality art. And I think it's important for everybody to recognize that you have no idea what you're talking about in like 99% of things, right? I have a YouTube channel where I talk about writing and I talk about psychology and I talk about like pretty much male-centric gender issues because I know what the heck I'm talking about. I'm not making videos on like freaking, I don't know how to make a manga or like anything because I don't know any of that stuff. And to think that I can therefore become an expert just because I have an AI assist me at a thing is, I think, the real sociological danger of it. But there's a second thing that I did want to touch upon because Man Caring Thing at the end of his video did kind of like bring this up. And I agree with him because he's like the only other person that I've heard give this sentiment and I'm really happy about it. And he talked about how genuinely he thinks that AI is not effectively going to be able to replace art, at least not anytime in the near future or the far future.
All right, my sincere prediction is that AI writing won't meaningfully impact art and human-driven writing. It will be sold as it is now as a means for people to fantasize about making money, or, you know, as a fun little curiosity, a hobby for people to read their own book that they're too afraid to write themselves.
And I think I have a slightly different take than him because one of the things that he brought up was that these new writers want to be able to just like create the world and the general outline of the story and effectively build all the parts that are really cool about the story, but then just skip all the actual writing of it. And they would then essentially just be marketers for their AI art, right? So the argument would be you as a person, you as an individual would have a style that you market, and then you would be able to sell AI stories underneath like your brand and your style. And Man Caring Thing says that there is nothing more that a writer or like a novelist, because I've written 6 books, there's nothing more that they hate than advertising their books and having it be a brand.
This is funny. Any published writer I've ever seen complains the most about having to market their own work.
And just from my personal experience, he's so correct. I have spent so much time in just this year, 2025, doing like promo campaigns, setting up my website, getting like my cover art, advertising my books, and it has translated into sales. But like, do I enjoy it? No, I just want to write. I just want to make videos. I want to write. I want to do what I want to do. And I don't want to advertise doing what I want to do. And that's the first thing. It's just like anybody who thinks they're going to write a book, AI assisted or otherwise, and like they're going to find just as much joy in the creative process, literally just through like talking about it with random strangers online as they would sitting down and learning the skills and creating real art. I'm sorry, you're gonna do it for like maybe 2 hours and you're gonna give up. But I think the biggest thing that, and the difference that I have from man caring thing as far as this topic, is I truly believe that AI art can never truly compete, at least in long form writing or like detailed art, because I think AI can only sample from humans, and in a way it can only ever be kind of like perfect. It's ones and zeros. It can't do anything else. It can't generate, and the moment it can generate things on its own, then it's basically kind of like human in and of itself, right? Like if we get to the point where we're having like iRobot conversations with AI, then that's a whole different conversation. And we should be really scared at that point. But I always think back to Watchmen from like 2009 or something, and it was a scene with Dr. Manhattan at the end of the movie that I literally has stuck with me all of my life. And he talks about, because I think he's on like the verge of ending humanity because he's God at that point, and he talks about how his realization as to why humanity is worth saving and worth living on is through the love that he feels for, I forget her name, but one of the other main characters. And he says that his love is perfect because of its imperfection, and because that it cannot be properly understood. There is no consistent logical ones and zeros through line to it. It's our imperfections that make us truly unique, and the things that I think connect us as human beings.
Out of that contradiction against unfathomable odds, it's you, only you, that emerged to distill so specific a form from all that chaos. It's like turning air into gold.
And there is nothing that AI can do about that. We cannot program algorithmically for AI to have the type of human flaws that would go into creating true art that is investigative of like human nature or how we live. Will there still be people who are satisfied with consuming AI slop because all they want to see is explosions and funny signs and whatnot? Sure, of course. I think there are always going to be like common denominator consumers of anything that happens, you know, like that's with food, that's with construction, that's literally with anything. But I think my optimism may be misplaced, I'll truly admit that, but I think my optimism, along with man caring thing, is that we exist in an artistic space that right now companies don't know how to replicate. They are failing. Like tons and tons of artistic companies are failing, both on the AI front and through trying to pander and cater to us. We see constantly movies, TV shows, video games, some even songs are just almost like seem to be algorithmically made to try to get as much money as possible with no like heart and soul. And I think we're coming to a point where we're rejecting it, and we're seeing just like how bad some of these projects are. And this is all to say, I think that soon, through capitalism and through just like the markets, we're gonna get to a point where I think large companies realize, like, again, as long as AI can't think on its own and doesn't like Cyberpunk 2077 us, we're going to understand, oh, real art made by real people is really valuable, and there's no real substitute for it, because the imperfections are what make us able to really become invested as fans and understand the people behind it and the intention behind it and the experiences and the life of a person that is summed up in their work. And that makes me really hopeful. So that's, I think, something positive you could take away from this whole terrible AI stealing your job situation. Because if your refuge is art and storytelling and writing, is it going to be difficult? Of course. Is going forward maybe the hardest time ever for writers, but we're not going to go extinct.